Your freedom ends at the tip of my nose and my back alley gate. You cannot just go out to my back alley and write your name anywhere you want. Doesn't that get you upset when you're driving down the freeway and you see this guy smear his name across a freeway overpass? You wonder how in the hell he get there. My favorite line is this: tigers are like baby pigeons. You know they exist, you just never see them. You know, and that's exactly, this guy made a living doing this. At the end of the day, he can tag in his studio, he can tag on campus, he just can't tag on other people's property. And if you think that that's freedom of speech, then you're crazy. I'm sorry. It's not, nothing gives you the right to go out to my car and put your name on the side of it because you want to express yourself.
All right. Ron Zip asks, the City Attorney's Office has been working for 2 years on a report on cell phone antennas above ground facilities and how they relate to current case law. It was promised to be released in January. What happened to the report?
Probably on somebody's desk. I mean, we don't have the bodies. I mean, honestly, things are going to take longer. I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty familiar with this. I spoke with the West Side Homeowners Association about this issue. We got the baseline hillside ordinance through, though. And that was hard because we didn't have bodies to do that either. And it took, I told them we'd do it in 2 weeks, and it took us 6 weeks to get it out. But that came with somebody's foot, you know, swinging in the air. We're understaffed and overworked. We have a tremendous amount of things to get off somebody's desk. We only have one guy writing ordinances,
okay,
for the entire city. So it's kind of hard.
All right, thank you. Tom Carter asks, and I'm going to summarize this because Tom has a way of asking the longer questions. Can you explain why truants can rob houses when not in school, and all the city can do is say no jurisdiction?
Well, the DA handles juvenile cases. Look at. It goes all the way back to education. We need to start with these kids to teach them, you know, they're not getting right from wrong at home. They're just not. And so Hillary Clinton probably said it right, and everybody gave her a ration of bologna when she said it, but I'm starting to really believe it's the way to go. It takes a village, and you know what, honestly, and it takes us to tell every single kid the same message. We need to teach these kids right from wrong in terms of decision making and consequences and what's going to happen, because they don't know. They don't know. And if you talk, I've had the opportunity to do defense work with juvenile kids, and I did a case in Palos Verdes, very high-end area, and a kid was selling drugs out of his locker. He got caught. The sheriff's caught him. And they were going to throw the book at him. And I remember we went down to the judge in Inglewood, and I said, you know, this kid comes from good parents. It's a learning experience. Let's see if we can educate this kid and keep a close watch on him. We'll bring him to court every couple of weeks, every month. See his grades, see what he's doing. The kid just graduated with his master's degree and going on to a doctorate program now. I mean, education works. Education works with kids, but we need to get teachers that care, to get the message out there. We need to get the message of right from wrong, the consequences of doing something stupid, of not graduating. You know, I went to a charter school. Just give me 1 second, this is really important. I went to a charter school, and I told these kids in South Central LA, I said, put your head down. Now, I want you to imagine right now that you're no longer 9 and 10 years old. I want you to imagine that you're 18. You see yourself as 18? Everybody, when you see yourself as 18, put your hand up. Put your hand up. I said, all right, now go to 25. Put your hand up when you see yourself at 25. Put their hand up. Now go to 35. Put your hand up. I said, okay, how many of you, go ahead, put your hands up. I said, how many of you saw yourself on Skid Row? Not one kid. How many of you saw yourself strung out on drugs? Not one kid. How many of you saw yourself driving a car? Was it a beat up jalopy or was it a nice car? Every kid has the same dream. They don't see the consequences of doing bad things, but somehow between the time when they're 10 years old and the time that they're 25 years old, they go off that mark. And education will keep them on that mark, folks. I'm serious. Education is what we need, and we need to educate these kids about making good decisions.
All right, the next question is, are you planning on running for DA? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you. It's from Jack Weiss.
Steve Cooley is the DA of Los Angeles County. He is my friend, and I've made it a policy never to hurt your friends.
We have three similar questions, and it's about a case I believe that they spoke to you about earlier, which I don't know if you're going to comment about.
And by the way, I am convinced that all of you right down in this room tomorrow, pick the phone, dial the district attorney's office and say, Steve, please run for DA another time. Please run. LA County needs you. I need every one of you in this room to do that.
Okay.
And do it by email, do it any way you want to do it. He needs to run again. He needs to run again.
Okay. This is an underlining question from three folks. What is the process to enforce an order to comply and or a stop work order? This is with regards to the Franklin.
It's an incident from what kind of order to comply?
This is on a
stop work order.
But that would be within building and safety, and I'm not part of building and safety. I can tell you when it comes to us what we do.
All right, good. Start with that.
Okay, you're talking about the site up there, top of the hill.
Yep.
Get him to refer it to us, and we'll file a criminal case. And then you guess what happens? Then the guy goes to court and says guilty or not guilty, and then he has a trial, and 12 people decide whether or not he illegally graded. Period.
So who do we
Jules,
contact in building and safety to get referred to you?
talk to the head guy. I mean, that's what. If you got a problem at the city attorney's office, what would you do? Call me. Call Bill Carter. Okay. I mean, I would make my voice heard. I mean, look. I don't want to say this is happening because I don't know. But there is sort of an informal ACE program going on in the city, in the building and safety department, and that takes us out of the discretionary loop. So I make the decisions whether or not we file cases.
But we need to develop.
Okay, hold on, sir. We don't do that.
But I don't want to.
Okay.
Let me just say, you do not want me to answer these questions in public because I do not want to prejudge any case.
Right. Okay. The last question that I have time for before Richard pulls me off is from Marshall Long. Since 1974, the city has refused to enforce the state ordinance on proper construction of multifamily dwellings. Basically, noise abatement from the outside in. What does the city attorney's office do when the city does not obey the law?
When you sue building and safety, I defend them. I mean, building and safety is my client. Building and safety is the one that does the enforcement. Again, what you need to do is contact building and safety. You got to point out the particular location where this is occurring and ask them to get an inspector to go out there to determine whether or not it's in compliance with the law. And you may want to point that law out to the inspector who may be unaware of it. But at the end of the day, if they give me a complaint, we'll review that complaint with professional prosecutors and we'll make a determination as to whether or not it should be enforced. Right now, there's no ACE program. So the only remedy I have is either an infraction or a misdemeanor filing. So I'll make that determination. That's the remedies that we have.
Okay, before we have the city attorney meet with the people that have questions for him.
Honestly, we do.
Okay, and don't leave because